Allegations continue to surface about Dr. Robert Anderson. The University of Michigan team doctor who died in 2008 is now accused of abusing some 100 students and athletes during his tenure. Dorsena Drakeford has the story of a Cleveland area survivor who says he's hoping to encourage more people to speak up.
It was 2018. Larry Nassar was convicted of multiple charges of sexual assault. More women were coming forward telling horror stories about the former gymnastics doctor. It was also the year former University of Michigan wrestler Tad DeLuca stepped forward with allegations about another doctor.
I spoke up by letter in July of 1975 and was ignored and denigrated by the University of Michigan. I spoke up again by letter in 2018.
Now known as the whistleblower, DeLuca detailed sexual abuse at the hands of Dr. Robert Anderson, abuse that, years later, other men say they experienced.
These were and are physically and mentally tough men, but they were all victims of sexual abuse,
including former St. Ed's wrestler Andy Rovat.
To have to go into a room knowing that you're going to encounter this is just, to me, horrific, and that's why it's always been in the back of my mind that this wasn't right.
It's why he was the first person to speak publicly about what he says happened to him during his freshman year.
What is normalized isn't always right, and that, to me, is the biggest thing that can be taken from this.
The allegations date back to the 70s when police say Dr. Anderson abused students at the Health Services Center before being moved to the athletics department. According to the Associated Press, some staff at the university knew about the allegations but did nothing. So attorney Parker Steiner says time's up.
I asked the University of Michigan this: why didn't you act in 1975 or earlier to prevent the sexual abuse of possibly hundreds of other victims?
Rovat wrestled in the Beijing Olympics for the U.S. and was a two-time All-American. But he says he still carries the weight of what happened behind closed doors.
You may not see yourself as a victim, but you are, because what you've been instilled in your whole life can't prepare you for having to endure something like this and go through it.
Well, there is a meeting planned for next week with university to discuss what's going to happen next. In a press conference last week, the university apologized for what happened to victims of Dr. Anderson's and asked anyone who suffered abuse to call their hotline. Sarah?
Really powerful to share their stories. Thanks, Dorsena.